Hello, everyone. Welcome to Biblical Prepping. I'm Judith Garten. This is the prepper portion, and I mentioned in my video about my fry pot that I'm trying to switch over to Greek yogurt. I've been buying the organic Greek yogurt, or when I cannot get the organic, the second best thing is the Kroger's brand Simple Truth. It usually has no added ingredients. So if I can't get an organic Greek yogurt, I will buy the Simple Truth one that has no added ingredients. And you have to read the label because even if it's an organic product, sometimes it might contain things you don't want in it, such as guar gum, xanthan gum. I'm trying to think of the other things because I'm so used to just reading them on a label and just walking away. I don't have them memorized anymore. That's terrible. Terrible in my being unable to tell you all of them. I will try to put a list together of things that I avoid. It's easy to do. I can just go to the cottage cheese label at any store. Many of them are major manufacturers too. So what I decided to do, I have not made yogurt in a couple of decades, probably. I was trying to think, it's probably been about 18, 19 years. It was always easier to just go and buy an organic tub. I usually buy the big, almost quart tub. Now they're not quarts. They've been downsizing thanks to shrinkflation. A lot of things are 12 ounces now or 15 ounces, so they can charge the same price or higher. And you don't get quite the amount of product, which is complicated too, because I'd rather have, if I want a quart, I want a quart. If I'm buying a quart of sour cream, I don't want it to be under a quart. I'm finding, and this is one of my complaints, I'll mention this across the board in a bunch of other videos that come around too. I do not like having to pull out one of my old recipes that my mom used to cook and having to buy a second of something because the products are no longer the same size. What used to be a 15-ounce package or can of something or 16 ounce is now lower. My favorite one, and this is a big pet peeve, chocolate chips. I actually have recipes where you were supposed to add a 16-ounce package of chocolate chips. Now, I had someone challenge me and said, oh, that's not possible. You can't. You've never been able to buy a 16-ounce package of chocolate chips. I have recipes in some of my old cookbooks that required a 16-ounce package of chocolate chips. Now you're lucky if you can find a 10, and they're expensive. Cocoa was another one. This tub of cocoa is 8 ounces. Had a hard time finding the Hershey's special dark cocoa, which, ta-da, I found it again. Sorry, I had to do that. I was complaining on my Facebook page about the fact that there's this big claim about cocoa shortages, and I find it ironic that there are more varieties of chocolate bars out there than ever humanly possible to buy. When I was a kid, they're not running out of cocoa to make their chocolates. So that's just one thing. Another, cake mixes. My goodness, you can find so many chocolate cake mixes out there. In addition to that, Jim checked the commodities pricing, and the pricing of cocoa should have gone up during the time they were claiming some form of shortage. Ironically, shortly after I posted that post, it had nothing to do with me. I'm not claiming credit or anything. But ironically, the stores around me started to get cocoa back in stock, so I was really grateful. I'm going to continue to buy 2 every time I need one because I just want 2 in the pantry. And one of the reasons why I like the Hershey Special Dark Cocoa is because it is non-GMO certified. So that's why I like that one. But I could not find this for a long time. So I started buying just the regular Hershey's cocoa, which I don't like as much. I like my cocoa to be cocoa. But I bought this, again, non-GMO certified, and then I went to buy this 3 weeks later, and it was not available. But weirdly, these foil pouches of Hershey's cocoa in 7-ounce sizes. New packaging. New because you're selling me for $1 more a pack It was $1 more than this tub, 1 ounce less. That matters because 1 ounce of cocoa is a few tablespoons at least. So you're losing a lot of what you used to get in the jar, container, or pouch in this case. So I'm getting kind of fed up with shrinkflation, and yogurt is one of the places. Cottage cheese is another one. I've been stuck buying a couple of 15-ounce tubs of stuff. So, and it's not gone down in price, it's gone up. So I decided, well, I'm not real good at making something like cottage cheese. You need the enzymes for that. But I make farm cheese. You might have seen my video. I'll link to that in the description below. But I noticed the last couple months my kefir started to bother my stomach. So I have decided that my kefir grains they got rinsed with filtered water, and they are going to take a vacation. At least 3 months. And then we'll see what goes on after that. Then I will reignite them again and see if I can tolerate it. But one thing I love is Greek yogurt. Now, the first 2 tubs I bought from the grocery store tasted fine. The third tub had a funny aftertaste. There was no real reason why. It might have just been whatever culture that they used might have been different than the previous ones. Now, most of the time I buy an organic brand, but again, it has to be without the additives. Or I buy the Simple Truth whole milk yogurt. So here I am buying the same products over and over, but then suddenly now I know because of kefir. Kefir changes thickness, consistency, and taste, flavor throughout the year based on how warm it is, how cold it is, how rested the grains are, and all of that. So I'm figuring the yogurt had to be the same way, and it's been so long, I don't remember ever having yogurt though with that funny aftertaste. So I decided, why pay $6.50 for 15 ounces of yogurt when I can make 15 ounces of yogurt for a quart of milk? Now this milk is $3.19 for a gallon. Divide that by 4. That's what? 80 cents? $1? No, wait. Yeah, 80 cents. Because that'd be $3.20. So for 80 cents, I can make 15 ounces of yogurt. And all I have to do is save some culture from the previous batch. This is my second jar. Now the first jar I made, the culture came directly from Simple Truth, not organic, but whole milk yogurt and you have to make sure contains live cultures. I'm sorry about any fluctuations in lights and stuff. I have these automatic ones back here that might kick on, but there's also been a couple of fluctuations power-wise. Not thrilled about that. But we do have storms around us. But you have to make sure any yogurt you're going to start with contains live cultures or it won't work. This is such a simple process. I used to have a yogurt maker, and it had little jars, and I've had 2 or 3 of them through the years. One was all the jars were in a row, and you could push it up against the back of the counter and let it do its thing. Plugged in, electric, kept a consistent temperature. I learned how to make yogurt also using a cooler bag, like a cooler lunch bag. So you can use that. You can use a cooler to maintain a good constant temperature, but I hadn't remembered how to do it. So I wanted to research it, looked it up, and I ended up on Ree Drummond's website, thepioneerwoman.com. She has an absolutely amazing article on there. It is written by Erica Kastner. I will put all that information down below and the link to the exact location and everything. Reason being is that they tested the different little things, details. They tried a pint, they made a quart, they used 1 tablespoon of starter and 2 tablespoons of starter, and they have all their results there. So I'm not even going to go through that because that's the recipe I used. But it's so simple to do. Start with your jar. The first thing you want to do is take your milk and pour it in your jar shy of a quart. And the reason why I say that is because, so I'm going to fill it up to I'm going to read it, 24 ounces. So I'm going to do 24 ounces of milk. And there we go. Put this back in the fridge. It's been out a little bit. All right. Then you take this, so simple, pour it in your pot. I have always found that when it comes to scalding milk or heating milk to scalding point, which is about 180, 185, up here, I have never really monitored what temperature. I just always go to about 180, 185. If you've heard me talk in other videos, our boiling point of water is lower up here at our elevation. We're over 3,000 feet, so it's much lower. The standard number is 212 degrees. That's not ours. I think it's 205. So then I turn it on. On my stove, it's like a medium low-ish, number 3. I want it to heat, but I don't want it to burn, but I want it to scald. So you're at that precarious position. You're going to need your digital thermometer, but this is going to take a while. So in the meantime, what you're going to do is step aside and grab your culture. This is my yogurt, and I made this jar of yogurt directly from my first jar of homemade yogurt. So this is not Simple Truth. Now it does collect on it. I don't know if you'll see it. I'll show you the camera as best as I can. I can't tip it too much, but no, you can't see it. You can't even see the liquid when I tilt it. There is liquid whey in here. I'm going to dump that down the drain. There's not enough for me to save. I could save that for things, but my yogurt is so thick, it barely moves. It is amazing. Now all you need is, and I'm going to use a spatula for this, because I want to use a spatula when I mix it. You need a tablespoon or 2. I use about 2 tablespoons. I don't even measure it. I know what a tablespoon looks like, roughly. So that's like 1 and 2. And you want to put your lid back on your yogurt. Or in this case, pop it back on your tub that you got from the store if it's your first time. And now we wait. How long? Don't know. I'm going to time it. I'm going to see about how long it takes. Are you ready? This is my little time manager. I've never actually used it for a stopwatch, so this says it should. So there you go. It's timing. So we're going to stick that up here, and we're going to check that when I notice that this is ready. So key ingredients. You need a yogurt, unflavored. It must be unflavored. You don't want vanilla. It must contain live cultures. You want 24 ounces of milk. I use whole milk. And 2 tablespoons of actual yogurt, Greek yogurt, in the bottom of your jar. Now I'm going to cover this up. And it's going to sit here and get to room temperature. So what the process is going to be is this needs to come to 180 degrees. Once it's at 180 degrees, then we will turn it off, remove it from the burner, and allow it to cool. That gives just enough time for this to get to room temperature. Simple after that. You pour in the milk once it's cooled, mix it up real well, and then we're going to put it in a towel. I'm going to use a diaper rag, because that's my favorite thing for using in the kitchen is towels. And never used as a diaper, might I add, in case anybody wonders. And then we're going to put it next to the dehydrator. So I will be back in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. Once we see how long it takes, I can tell you that. All right, I am back, and I lost my train of thought there for a bit, and had a little bit of a tension distraction. We have kittens out back that popped up randomly. So they're cute. Anyway, I lost track of time. It took approximately 25 minutes to heat up to the point where it almost boiled over. So probably less than that, 18 minutes, 20 minutes to heat up to the right temperature of around 180 degrees, maybe 17 minutes. Now your stove, of course, might be different. It did form a, let's see if I can get it here, a skin on the top, and that is floating around right now. So I will be filtering it through a strainer in a little bit. It is currently cooled down to 160 degrees. We wanted to get it down below 100, and then I will be adding it to this yogurt culture here and this jar. You want it below, you want it to cool down enough that it's not going to crack your jar when you add it to the jar. So you want it to be close to room temperature, like around 80 degrees, 85 maybe, 90 at the absolute most. It should be okay because wow, in fact, this is already room temperature over here because it's been sitting on the stove. So I'm going to let this cool for a little bit longer, and then I will show you how to strain it, wrap it, and that's it. It's so simple. So I will be back again in a few minutes. All right, I am back in the kitchen. It is down to 94 degrees. And our next step is to take off your lid from your jar. And then I'm going to take my set of stainless steel canning funnels from ForJars, ForJars. I'll include the link for these down below in the description. Since it's a wide mouth, I'm going to use the wide mouth. I love these things. Remember, this is the set that comes with the little graduated measurements here, so you know that you're filling your jar to the proper height. Don't need that for this one. That's just a really awesome selling point. And this is the strainer that comes with it. Sorry, my voice is a little froggy. Next, I'm using a little section of diaper. Again, unused. It's 100%, well, I shouldn't say unused. It's been used in the kitchen. Not used by anybody's bottom. I took one of these larger ones, cut it into 4, tried to stitch the edges. It didn't do real well, but I use those for straining cheese. If I'm going to make cream cheese from yogurt or kefir, which you can also do. But I just want to make sure I remove the skin and any little chunks of it laying behind, or any scalded parts from the bottom. Because I let it go a little long, I can pretty much guarantee there's some brown on the bottom this time. So now sometimes with these diapers, you do have to wet them first with a little water to make sure that they strain quickly and easily. I'm just going to strain that right into the stove. There we go. Splashed out. Strain it right into the dish or the jar. There you go. You don't need to scrape the bottom. In fact, I would recommend not scraping the bottom. I did that because I want to get some of those chunks out. Make it a little easier for it to get hand washed. And then this is just going to end up in the laundry later. That is all done. Now you want to take your spatula, stir that yogurt culture all the way into your warm milk. Stir it all the way through. Easy as pie. It pretty much dissolves as you're adding the milk, so that's not hard. Make sure that the rim is clean. And then I just take this fabric, I fold it, that will end up being in 4s, and I wrap it around as an insulator to keep that temperature as warm as possible. Now, I have read online that some women, some families will take it and put it on top of a refrigerator or freezer. I happen to have rubber things on top of my appliances, so it's easier to take away dust and stuff. I just roll that up and rinse it off in the shower. So it's not really warm up there anymore. I could fold back a corner and put it up there if I would like to, but I am actually in the process of dehydrating herbs. It's, again, I said before, July 10th, so I have picked, well, I picked chives, but I forgot to take care of them. They got kind of icky. So they went in the trash, but I have picked oregano, brain burp. So we got oregano, sage, rosemary, and also I have picked a little tiny bit of dill that came up on its own. I'm actually going to plant some more dill seeds pretty soon, and we will hopefully be growing more dillweed. I have not planted basil yet. It's a little hot. Got too hot too fast, so I want to try and get basil started along with the dill and get that going. That the basil, the dill, the deer don't seem to bother, but the basil is going to have to go inside the vegetable garden. So I've got to get those started in pots. So there we go with that. And this is just going to sit next to my dehydrator. I have a table over there. I'll take a photo of it and insert that. And then later on this evening, it is almost noon. This takes about 6 to 8 hours for me at my elevation. You could check it a little bit, like about 4 to 6 hours after you've started it, and see where yours is. If it's set enough for you, if you want it thicker, you can set it and let it sit longer. I find it takes about 8 hours, and it's a nice, thick, rich flavor. And it doesn't have it. It's not too sour. It's not too tart. My kefir tends to be a little tart, but the yogurt isn't, and it's very smooth. I'm actually going to take that other jar, and later today, we've both been craving some kind of dessert or something late in the evening. So I'm going to take some of that yogurt and just some frozen blueberries, run it through the blender, and we're going to have some froyo and homemade. It doesn't need any sweetener. The berries are so nice. We have tried strawberry as well, but we actually like the blueberry flavor the better because the blueberries are stronger flavor. It is a little bit before 5, and this is the yogurt. And as you can see, it's very liquidy still. It's a little bit solid, but it's not where I want it to be. It's nothing like that other batch, and it's only been about 5 hours. So I'm going to let this sit for another 3 to 4 hours, depending on what I get done this evening, and I will take another quick peek then. It's a little after 9. Last check on the yogurt, and it doesn't want to focus. There we go. So you can see that there's a lot of liquid in there. That's actually the whey separated from the yogurt. I think I let it go a little too long while I was watching television, but that just means that the yogurt itself will be much thicker. I think I could have gone up to about 30 ounces, up to about here, instead of just the 24. I think I probably went about 30 on that previous jar. So I'm really excited. This is working well. I am going to do another batch once we get some more milk. You can use this to make dip. I used it to make chicken salad the other day. I used half mayonnaise and half yogurt. Tuna salad. There are people that are doing that. There's a lady on my Facebook page. She makes all of her dressings now with yogurt instead of sour cream or mayonnaise. So those are all great options that you can use your yogurt for. And again, it cost me about 80 cents to make this. And it's so simple. It's so simple. Probably took me about 15 minutes to show you, but it's so simple to do. It takes about of attentive time, maybe 10 minutes, because you just want to not do what I did. Pay attention to when it's heating up. It takes between 15 and 20 minutes to heat it up to the right temperature and not let it boil over. So you want to make sure you do that. So simple. I will include the link to Ree Drummond's page. You can print out all of her, the article from, I have my paper, from Erica Kastner right there. You can print that whole article if you'd like to, or you can just copy the directions and print it. I have done the directions for myself, and in the directions I put the link to the page in case I ever need to go back and refer to it. I love the fact that I can do this quick and easy, and I hope that you will give it a try. Blessings and shalom.